Well, Indian T20 League 2020 edition has been done and dusted, and Mumbai have been crowned as champions for the fifth time. And what a journey this has been for them. All the captains were at their best to lead their respective franchises. For some, it was really good. For if Mumbai, then of course Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore all made it to the playoffs. But even then, all eight franchises, all eight captains were really good. And that's the reason Sports Tiger has brought one more segment, and that is, of course, Captain's Report. We will start with the team which occupies 8th position on the points table in 2020 edition. That is, of course, Rajasthan. I'm talking about Steve Smith, how good he has been in the first two games, of course, ended up scoring half centuries in both of them. It looked like that Rajasthan will be having a very, very good season, but then that slump came and then they were not able to recover thereafter. 14 games as captain for him, was able to win 6 out of them, lost 8 with a win percentage of course, 42.85. I think Steve Smith would be definitely looking forward to changing these numbers in the 2021 edition, but this year they occupy the bottommost position on the points table.
Then we move on to the number 7 spot. We'll move on in that order, of course. MS Dhoni, the picture that you might be seeing on your screen actually depicts how the season went for him. But nevertheless, MS Dhoni has been a legend, has been a great captain throughout. 14 matches this season, did not start on a great note, but ended on a high. 14 matches, 6 wins, 8 losses, a win percentage of 42.85. We don't attribute this percentage to this great man, but it was how it was this season for MS Dhoni. Maybe his team didn't support him. MS Dhoni himself also wasn't great as a performer, but we'll always remember MS Dhoni for all that he has achieved. Maybe now he's losing that sheen, but he'll still have a huge place in our hearts always. That was MS Dhoni, of course. Moving on to the 6th place, that is Vedant, over to you.
Absolutely. I think a captain who came into the side as a player but eventually was asked to captain the side. I'm talking about Owen Morgan. Dinesh Karthik was asked to lead the side from the start, but in the mid, he realized that he would want to concentrate on his batting and wicket keeping. And that was a time Owen Morgan stepped up as the captain, ended up captaining the side for 7 games. And everybody will remember the last game in the league stage that they played against Rajasthan. What an innings that was from Owen Morgan. He tried his level best. He gave it all so that Kolkata can make it to the playoffs. But unfortunately for them, Hyderabad was really good against Mumbai and they ended up going to the playoffs. Talking about his captaincy in Indian T20 League 2020 edition, 7 matches for him, 3 wins and of course 4 losses with a win percentage of 42.85. I think he will also be looking to change those numbers. We haven't been able to give the report card to the first 3, so let me give. When it comes to Steve Smith, we will rate him 6 out of 10. When it comes to MS, we will again rate him 6.5 out of 10. And when it comes to Owen Morgan, ended up captaining just 7 games, and that's the reason I'm giving him 7 out of 10.
Fabulous, I think. Next captain we move on to is KL Rahul. They were placed at number 5th. Punjab under him were placed at number 5. First season for KL Rahul as a captain, but we can't say this that he's been bad. He was, I think, he was great as a captain. A really spirited performance from Punjab, a really spirited campaign. They won so many games on the trot. They ignited a ray of hope for us, but in the end, they didn't. They just missed by a whisker. One game was what was all it was that they had to win to get to the playoffs, but they weren't able to. Nevertheless, 14 games, 6 wins, 8 losses. A lot of teams have this win percentage of 42.85 because almost all the 4 or 5 teams, whatever, have won 6 games out of 14, and that's why it was one of the best seasons. KL Rahul, it was a treat to watch you. Orange cap holder as well. Individually did well. As a captain, also he was sufficient. He can do better in next season. He'll learn from his mistakes, of course. It's all a learning curve. Then we move on to the top 4. For that, Vedant, would you like to start off?
Absolutely. I think we We will start with Bangalore, of course, because they occupied fourth position on the points table, played the eliminator against Hyderabad, and ended up losing that game. Virat Kohli, the captain, they started really good, and we all thought this is the year for Bangalore. But unfortunately, they went on the dip side, and they were never able to recover thereafter. I think Mr. Nags, who works for Bangalore, he also said there is an inflate and deflate, but deflate did not turn into inflate for Bangalore. 15 games for them, 7 they won, 8 they lost with a win percentage of 46.67. But I think a good sign for Bangalore that after so many years they were able to make a place in the playoffs. And I think in the 2021 edition, Virat Kohli would be looking forward to changing those numbers. Probably that 7 in the win side can be a little 8 or a 9 so that they can end in the first two and give themselves a little more chance to win the title.
Let's also go forward and rate these two captains. KL Rahul, I think 7 would be a good number out of 10 for him. And Virat Kohli also, because of the form they had in the last few games, I'd like to give him maybe 7.2 out of 10, 7.25. Let's just give him a round figure. Moving on to David Warner, the Bull, of course. 16 games for him as captain, 8 wins, 8 losses, 50 percentage win. 50% was his win percentage, of course. Then David Warner, he was absolutely fabulous this season. Every season he turns up, he performs really well, he captains his side with such depth, with such clarity in his mind. It's lovely to watch the intensity, the passion with which David Warner always steps onto the field. This Indian T20 League would always be incomplete without David Warner. For sure, the best overseas player, the fastest to 5,000 runs as well. But this is not about his individual performances. This is about his captaincy. They also won a streak of matches in the end. They were able to make it to the playoffs. They were also able to make it to the qualifier too. That's where the journey ended. Unfortunately, they weren't able to carry on. But still, David Warner did treat us to some great cricket.
Absolutely. And I think now it's time. If you want to rate him as a captain,
His rating maybe because win percentage is more than other captains. He's also done fabulously. 8 out of 10 would be a good number. What do you think?
I think 8 out of 10 would be definitely good for him. And the next captain in our list is, of course, Shreyas Iyer, who captained Delhi and helped Delhi to play their first final in 13 editions. I think he has been a great asset to the side. 17 games as a captain. They ended up playing a game more because they played qualifier 1, then qualifier 2, and then they ended up going to the finals. 9 games they won, 8 games they lost with a win percentage of 52.94. I think he would be happy with team's performance and how the team reacted to his leadership. And I think if I want to rate him, I would give somewhere around 8.5 to 9 because he was that guy everybody would remember for Delhi who was able to take them into the finals. So I think it's 8.5 or maybe 9 out of 10.
Then moving on to the crown champions, the Queen Lady, the defending champions, also the reigning champions now. We will fall short of words when we talk about Mumbai. There were two captains. It started off with Rohit Sharma. He got injured his hamstring, of course. 12 matches for him, first 12 matches, 8 wins. And then they were almost into the playoffs when Rohit Sharma exited. So that was a very good sign. 66.67%. Before rating, I'd like to move on to the other captain they had. That was K.POLLARD. Three wins out of 4 games for him, 75 win percentage. So that tells you no matter who's captaining the side, Mumbai will be performing well. It's also about the captain, but it's also about the team culture. It's also about the work ethic, and that is top tier for Mumbai. I think if I had to rate Rohit Sharma, I'd love to give him 10 out of 10. But
Wow.
I would have given him 10 out of 10 if he would have won all games. So let's give him 9.75 out of 10. That will because a captain is also rated by the fact that when the team falls, he's able to pick them up. So that adds to the points. 9.75 will be the rating for him. We didn't see much of K.POLLARD. I'd like to give him less points than maybe Rohit Sharma. Maybe 9 out of 10 because he played 3 games and won 4. And to take captaincy midway, it's also always a tough job, I think. So that's why I'd like to rate K.POLLARD really highly. That was our captain's report for all the teams. There were in total in
Then,
this Indian T20 league, there were 10 captains, 8 teams, 10 captains. A lot of captains taking captaincy from other players. It was lovely to watch. That was our segment of captain's report. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you again. Action not stopping. Sports Tiger is the only platform you need. Keep watching. We'll see you again for sure.